Hello, we're going to deal with the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, which was lost for a long time, but it was recovered in the Nag Hammadi scriptures right after World War II. So let's jump right in. Here we go. Okay, this is what's called a Gnostic gospel because it's based on knowledge. The Gnostics relied on true knowledge to act in life. So let me put this down here, and here we go. We're going to do a little historical background on Yeshua, or Jesus of Nazareth, Joseph of Arimathea, Mary Magdalene, and then we'll go through the gospel, and we'll cover the gospel in a series of stages here so that we can get this. Then we'll close it out with some key questions and answers and where are we going. So Yeshua, or Jesus of Nazareth, many believe was born roughly in 5 before the Common Era. This was when Herod the Great was in charge of Palestine for the Romans. And he heard about the birth of this so-called Messiah, Yeshua. And in fact, it was focused on the town of Bethlehem. And so Herod, not wanting to be usurped by anyone, let out a decree that all the firstborn children would be killed. And so it went. So the Romans, in fact, did not find this Yeshua at birth, and his parents took him off to Egypt. Herod died in the year 4 before the Christian era, Common Era, and they came back to Palestine, and he was in the town of Nazareth, where his father was a carpenter. Now, his father was much older than his mother, and in fact, had a cousin, Joseph of Arimathea, who ended up basically becoming a surrogate father for Yeshua. He was able to get Yeshua to be schooled by the Essenes in Qumran until age 12. He had an older cousin, older by maybe 3, 4, 5 months, John, who became John the Baptist, who was also there being schooled by the Essenes. And he stayed there until age 12. And then Joseph of Arimathea was incredibly wealthy. He had tin mines in England, in Cornwall, and he had a fleet of ships, over 100 ships, that moved back and forth between the Atlantic, the Mediterranean, different places in the Roman Empire, providing tin, which went into making bronze. So it was very easy for Yeshua to go, for example, to England or to any place else where the ships went. The ships went everywhere. In particular, there was trade on the Silk Road with China and India and Nepal. So it appears that Yeshua went at age 12 off to Egypt, where he was schooled by the mystics there, and then to India and Nepal for further education by Hindus and Buddhists. And then he returned at age 30 to Palestine, where he began his preachings for 3 years about the way. And the way is what we'll cover here. He also healed hundreds with his light, with his ability to cure leprosy, to mend bones, to provide sight to the blind, and even there are instances of him bringing the dead back to life. He argued for a core group of mystics that were going to be headed by Mary of Magdalene, and there would be a much larger church that would be headed by apostles. Peter was an excellent communicator, and so Peter was the one that headed this up. But what the mystics, what the core group dealt with was far beyond what was being taught to the large numbers out there. This is where Yeshua developed the idea of parables to be able to get across lessons to people. Remember that most people then couldn't read or write, so this is no small accomplishment. The next person is Joseph of Arimathea. He was wealthy, incredibly wealthy, due to these tin mines that he had. He had at least 100 ships that moved the tin and then other goods as well, all around. His headquarters actually for all of this were in Cyprus, but he had a major home, several homes in Jerusalem, in Palestine. And his operations for all this were headquartered in Cyprus. He was the cousin to Joseph, who was the father of Yeshua, or Jesus of Nazareth. And he arranged for Yeshua to be schooled by the Essenes, who were mystics. Many people believe they came from Atlantis and had many of the mystic teachings that Atlantis had. He ended up having Yeshua travel all over the Mediterranean, but in particular to Egypt, where he was schooled by the mystics there, and then to Asia, where in particular the Hindus and the Buddhists taught him. And he probably was exposed to Chinese concepts as well, such as the Analects of Confucius and the Tao, Lao Tzu. Joseph appears briefly in the New Testament, where he arranges for Yeshua to be taken down from the cross and placed into Joseph's tomb that was there in Jerusalem. That was, unfortunately, though, the Roman soldiers that did all this, that guarded the tomb, discovered that there was no Yeshua inside the tomb when the women came. Mary Magdalene and another woman came on what we now call Easter Sunday. And the other thing Joseph of Arimathea did was the core group after the departure of Yeshua, after his crucifixion, he hosted meetings of this core group of what would be called Gnostics on Cyprus for roughly 10 years, so maybe 27 year of the Common Era and up to 38 of the Common Era. A very influential person who gets no press. Mary was apparently adopted by Joseph at age 8. She met Yeshua, who at age 9 was visiting in Jerusalem at the home of Joseph, and the two of them bonded right away. They were very powerful intellects, and they could sense the spirituality and mysticism that each had. Joseph sent Mary off to Egypt for schooling by the Isis priests, and these mystics educated her in, again, probably a lot of the thinking that came from Atlantis. So it was a different schooling than that of Yeshua, but still quite mystical. At age 30, they both linked up again when Yeshua was 30, and she was probably a year younger, and they formed this core group which would delve into the teachings of the way, which is what Yeshua was preaching. So these are the core mystical concepts, and she ended up hosting meetings roughly every year from 27 to 38 of the Common Era to discuss the activities of the different Gnostics throughout the Mediterranean and the teachings of the core group. She ended up then living in the south of France, where she passed on in the descendants of her ideas eventually became the Cathars, who were lived a version of this. It was a different version of the way, of the teachings of Yeshua, and they ended up all being completely slaughtered in the First Crusade of the Catholic Church. And at the same time, the Church created the Inquisition to make sure that they got every last one of them. So here we go. What did Mary Magdalene and this core group deal with? Well, first, we have the inner structure of reality. And there's a law of three, the three great trinities. There's the mother and the father God, father and mother God that create the light. So actually, you have to think about this, that father and mother are actually joined. People can incarnate as a male, incarnate as a female, but actually the father and mother are really joined together, and they create the light, and that is the first Trinity. The next one is that the light and the love create the spirit. And the third one is that the spirit and matter create life. So what did Christ do? Well, Christ talked about the energy of love, the redemption and healing and forgiveness that came with this. He was a teacher who embodied this universal energy and used that to heal people, among other things. And he had consciousness for the individual that focuses through the heart. So again, there was a trinity here. There was an energy, a teacher, and a consciousness. So when energy flows through your beings, all things are possible. This is the basic grounding of how the universe worked according to Yeshua. There is the sacred universe as it is below in the world of physical matter, so it is above in the realm of spirit. So Yeshua said, we are the children of the light. We came from the light, and the balance process of movement and repose is the sign of the light within us. The Creator planted within each child of the light a longing for the light, so that even when lost in illusion, each child would be able to find a path leading back to the Father, Mother, God. And this is the way that Yeshua taught, that I have taught you is the path leading to the light. So to succeed, the way must become a living path of daily transformation. Everyone has a unique way to get there, and it changes from person to person, and it changes every day. There is no one way. There's the journey of the soul. Yeshua spoke of the journey made by the soul, the great longing of the soul for joy, and for its descent into the material world so that joy could be experienced intensely. And the price of this descent is twofold. There's a separation into male and female so that no human being would feel complete in themselves. When you have sexual intercourse, that you're joined together and there's this incredible feeling of joy, so that you are complete then. But that's the only time. And then there's a veiling of awareness, a veil that when you're born, you can no longer see your own nature with any clarity. So you cannot remember your past lives. And after living many lives in the shadowy half-world, the soul awakens and ascends into the light. But this requires a great deal of work. The nature of salvation, well, salvation is the achievement of enlightened consciousness. So the Savior, the Yeshua, saves us from the ignorance of the way, but we must save ourselves by continuing to tread the way until we fully merge with the light. The faith in the teacher alone will not lead to salvation. We have to do the work. He will not do it for us. And when the way opens the door, the work is not over. It's only begun, that there's change and transformation now on every level. And you just started to evolve into these higher realms that are there. The way is the process through which this Christ energy transforms your life and your consciousness. So the sign of the Christ energy working is the experience of joy, and it occurs in Here we cite 5 different ways that from Mary Magdalene. There's the prayer and meditation, where you lay your consciousness alongside the consciousness of the Father, Mother God. And so the Father, Mother God, and your consciousness resonate together and become one. You see reality. There's forgiveness as a regular evening practice, so that all of the trials and tribulations of the day, the tangled energies, can be brought into harmony and the slate wiped clean. There's service, to use your skills to address the needs of those that you meet. There's giving thanks, to express gratitude to the Father, Mother, God, for all the blessings in our life. And then finally, there's surrender, so that the soul can merge with the light and complete its journey. So the way lies in every step you take upon your path till you complete the journey of the soul. It's not found in books, in traditions, in rituals, in teachers. Each person has their own unique path to find the way. The universe moves constantly toward balance and harmony, and it's sustained by a system of balances of yin and yang. You do not go to the extremes. Understanding balance helps you to penetrate the veil of illusion and see things as they really are. There's a series of spectrums of energy with opposing polarities, but this is really an illusion, for there's really a midway point, the natural point, the natural path within each spectrum, where the extremes vanish and everything's brought into equilibrium. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in frequency. So we have hot and cold, but hot and cold, while they're quote unquote different extremes, they really express different modalities of frequency. Hot is much faster vibrations than cold. And we can go all the way down to absolute zero, where there's no vibrations. Look at all the dualities in life as linked together within the spectrums of energy. So we focus on the midpoint to increase your sensitivity to harmony and balance. Truth and freedom. You either want to find the truth of things or you do not. And there are indeed people that don't. If you're dedicated to the light, to the truth, then you'll let everything else go until you find it. Even if the truth is difficult and challenging at times, you'll keep on treading this path until you reach the light. When you know the truth, it sets you free from all the illusions of this world, and you can understand the nature of all. So when you enter the real, the self disappears and you become pure awareness, the supreme consciousness. The world of illusion was appropriate for you when you were spiritual children. When you seek to know the truth and enter reality, you begin to function as spiritual adults. As Yeshua said, if you hold to my teaching, you are really disciples. You'll know the truth, and the truth will set you free. There's oneness, and then there's all. Many people in the early stage of thinking about onenesses see only the smooth and comfortable side to it. But as you journey to the core of oneness, you'll discover many challenging layers. Looking beyond every kind of duality and living at the midway point of balance is just the beginning. The all values every culture, every race, every tradition equally. You'll have to throw away all your prejudices and opinions. The all teaches to accept everything that happens to you with an open mind and an open heart, to live in the present moment, to let go of the past, to rise up each morning like a newborn babe, greeting a fresh day. You're a friend of everyone and the enemy of no one, and you'll begin to observe the Father, Mother God in everything you see. Only the Father, Mother God exists. Everything and every being in the universe contains this divine essence. That essence, that divine essence, exists at first only in potential and is realized through the expansion of consciousness. The divine essence moves in waves of creation through all the kingdoms of life, culminating in the human kingdom. On the planetary system, where there is free will, beings may choose for a time to move away from the light. There is no sin, only a moving away from the Father and Mother God and returning to the divine. So the notion of evil or sinning is absent. It appears in this sense of moving away and returning. The journey of the soul upon earth is a process of learning and growing, an opportunity to respond to love and experience joy. The universe is a vast web of integrated beingness, unified by the energy and linked by consciousness. So all are within the one, and the one is present within all life forms. Let's look now at some key questions and answers. What is the biggest challenge facing us? Keeping the way simple. The first thing that happens when you get groups of people is they start to complicate it and split up into other groups. And one group has these bells and whistles, and the other group has this set of bells and whistles. In fact, the way is simple, but it's hard. You have to work at it. So focus is critical. What's the greatest enemy of those who follow the way? It's fear. They're afraid that the way will not go anywhere, or they'll be hurt by it, or you name it. Yeshua talked about empty fullness. So he was advising us to become empty of little selfish lower self and rise up and become full of spirit. You want to clean out all the garbage, and you want to fill yourself up with spirit, entering your own true nature, so that all things are possible. How can we attune to the kingdom of heaven? The kingdom's within you, and all the universe is outside you, and you'll realize the universe outside and the soul within are one and are not separate. Remember what Yeshua said: all that I do, you will someday be able to do, and even greater things than these. We're just at the beginning of this. What is the biggest mistake we can make on the spiritual path? To see yourself as small and powerless, when in fact you're vast and powerful and loving beings of light. How will the experience of oneness change us? Well, all things will be in you, and you will be in all. That is a huge change. There will be everything linked to everything else. What is the most undervalued aspect of the spiritual path? The brotherhood of angels and of men. Where is the kingdom of heaven? It's everywhere in the universe, all around, and in the innermost temple of your heart. So where are we going in all this? The vast process of light begins at the simplest level as inert matter and rocks. It moves through all the kingdoms of life until a human soul is born. Along the way, we'll first have insects, then we'll have reptiles, then we'll move to mammals. But there'll be a variety of life, is all that we're saying. And before that, of course, the plant kingdom. Beyond all this, men and women rise into ascended levels of being, but in many ways. This is only the start of our real education. There's eons of experience that lie ahead as masters of knowledge and travelers upon the higher planes of being, of lives in which we shall be lords of planets and galaxies until we take our place beside the Elohim, the great architects of all universal life. There's wisdom without end and joy beyond our remotest imaginings, life more subtle and intense than any human mind could understand, and love more powerful than any human heart could encompass. So when we understand the full nature of our consciousness, we would allow that all we have encountered on this planet was only a prelude or a beginning. And with that, we'll close with Mary of Magdalene. Have a great day. All the best.